is Warlord Games' newest bolt-action two-player starter, Island Assault. You get U.S. Marines against the Imperial Japanese Army. Definitely a lot thicker. The box is a lot thicker than the Band of Brothers set. On the other side, you can see all the contents of the box. You get the second edition A5 size rulebook, 24 Marines, 24 Japanese infantry. You get one M3A1 half-track, one Type 97 Chiha medium tank. You also get a resin Japanese pillbox and two resin Japanese spider holes. You get the Island Assault booklet, quick reference sheet, assembly guides, plastic templates, rulers, which is we'll get to that later. 10 six-sided dice, and then 12 bolt action order dice, which are integral to the game of bolt action. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's inside. Alright, so this is a very deep box packed with a ton of plastic, but the first thing that you will see is your A5 size rulebook. Unfortunately, in my box set here, the book was a little bit damaged, but still very usable. This is the full color rulebook, so if you were to get the hardcover rulebook, it would be the same as this A5 size rulebook. Most of the time when you get an A5 size rulebook, it's not the full rulebook that would have come in hardcover. That's the fantastic thing about this. This is the entire hardcover rulebook in A5 size. So next up is the Island Assault Guide. So this gives you a little bit of fluff. I guess Guadalcanal is what they are depicting in this particular set. So it'll give you some information on the Pacific War as well as the forces that are being used there. Here's an assembly guide for the Japanese Army. So with these quick start guides, or with these guides that they include in the two-player starters, they have a specific way that they want you to build the forces that are in here. So in terms of the Japanese, this is what they want you to build. So here you'll build a second lieutenant and a second soldier as his bodyguard. Then you'll have a sniper team, or two, yeah. You'll have a sniper team, the sniper himself, as well as the spotter, who is also a rifleman. And then you're going to have a more long-range squad. So this squad will have an NCO with a rifle, as well as a light machine gun. Everybody else is kitted out in rifles. And then you're going to have a more close-quarter combat assault squad that has an SEO with a submachine gun and then more rifles. So also in this set is the Chiha medium tank, which is fantastic for the Japanese forces that will be included in this. Historically, the Chiha is not such a great tank, but anything that the Japanese can have to fight against the U.S. as they start landing on these islands is going to be a good thing. The cool thing about this set is that you get your pillbox and two spider holes, and this is definitely going to get your war table or your battlefield to look more Pacific in terms of terrain. And then just build around these things by getting some palm trees, maybe a sand mat, something like that, just to make it look more in line with what the Pacific War would have been. So on the other side is your U.S. Marine Corps guide. They want you to build an HQ that's going to be a first lieutenant with one soldier as the like the bodyguard, and they're going to both be armed with carbines. In the rules, carbines are basically the same as rifles. Then you're going to have a bazooka team, which is pretty awesome. And then you'll build two 10-man infantry squads. The NCOs will have submachine guns. You'll have two with BARs, and then the rest with rifles. And lastly, to round out the Marine forces, you have the M3 half-track. So this is going to be a great vehicle to array against the Japanese, since you have machine guns up the wazoo for this particular vehicle. So I prefer, or I would have preferred a different vehicle, such as, like, I don't know, an M3 Scout car, the white car, or maybe even a Sherman. But if you take a Sherman up against a Chiha, the Sherman's going to be the dominant tank. So this, I think, is more in line with the balancing of the two forces against each other. Something new in the Island Assault Guide, which was not in Band of Brothers, is kind of a paint guide. So in this paint guide, they'll tell you what colors to use, and they are colors that you can get from Army Painter and Vallejo, so they kind of have it mixed and matched. But this is definitely a great way to get the right paints to make them look the way that they are in the guide and the box and all that fun stuff. So here's your battlefield. Here's all the stuff that you need. Just kind of a quick guide on how to line up your forces for the initial bolt action scenario that's included with this. And in fact, the learning scenario is not really a scenario so much as that it places your forces in a specific way to show you rules that you will encounter in your first few games of bolt action. So I would not expect a scenario per se, more so kind of like a learning experience. They map out the turns for you and kind of examples of what you could do in those turns, as well as what the actions or orders mean on the order dice. So, all right. Lastly, on the back of the Island Assault Guide is a copy of the play sheet, which is actually pretty neat because this topper here is also a copy of the play sheet. So you and a buddy will each have a copy of the play sheet, so that's cool. Now, when they said that they included rulers in the box set, they mean these cardboard rulers. So in fact, it looks like a ruler. If you don't have a measuring tape or any sort of measuring device, you can cut these out. But more likely than not, if you're an experienced wargamer, you're going to have a couple of measuring tapes and all that fun stuff. But the main thing of this topper is the second copy of the play sheet. So, all right, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what's included in this set. So I'm just going to pick out a couple things here, and then we'll dive in. So first off, and this is what's kind of weird, is that you have 2 bags of dice. So in this bag, you have the 10d6 dice, as well as 5 of the order dice for each faction. And then you have a separate baggie with the 6th die for each faction. So I don't know. It could have been in there. Maybe it's a manufacturing thing. But, you know, at least you have 6 dice, 6 order dice for each faction. And then if you don't have any d6, there you are. I'm going to address these bubble wrap things in a little bit, but let's just get the fluff out of the way. Really, just a bunch of the 25mm round bases. So these are the flat bases. Let me put this down here. These are the flat bases. Some Warlord bases have a lip. These are completely flat. So nothing too special. Just wanted to point that out. All right. The bubble wrap. So if you see bubble wrap, that means Warlord resin components. So we're going to go take a look at the bigger one here. Let me just unbag this. This is actually going to be the Japanese pillbox. What I really like about this, it's not that soft resin, so this is an actual resin component, but the nice design on it, the detail, even the roughness of what it's supposed to be, the sand. So when you paint this and you wash it, it's going to look like you've actually sanded this or put sand on it. You even have a palm frond underneath some sand there, and then there are 3 windows or openings for the machine guns that are going to be spouting fire out of it. So, yep. That is a great, let me just bring it up closer. That is a beautiful resin piece. And the sand and the texture is going to make it very easy to paint this. So, all right. Next up, if I can get this open, are going to be your 2 spider holes. And I'm going to make the assumption that both of these will be just as detailed as the pillbox. So there you are. I love the texturing of the sand on this, and this is resin, so they're actually really nice. There's a machine gun sticking out of that spider hole. It's just a little bit of flash to clean up. Just use your blade very carefully, and you can shave that off. Got a nice palm frond right there. So yeah, these are great. Okay, so I don't know if this is for the whole box, but Vaz has packed this Island Assault box, so thank you, Vaz. The first thing on top here is going to be your M3A1 sprues. So in a bag, so that's fantastic. Keeps it separate from all the other components that are in the box. I don't know if that's the same for the Chi-Ha, but anyway, if you've built a number of these, let me just move this out of the way so you guys can get a better look. This is just your standard M3A1. What I like is that it does have a driver, and yeah, I mean, that's fantastic to have a driver. Sometimes these vehicles don't come with drivers, not this specific kit, but other vehicles, but it's nice that this one does. So main chassis, there's your machine guns, there's a 50 cal and a 30 cal. There's your ring for your machine gun. All right, the second sprue, tracks and the rest of the hull, as well as the wheels. You know, I kind of wish that they actually had a gunner figure that would go in the turret ring there for the machine gun. But you can buy extra crew if you want to. I always felt it was kind of weird with this particular kit that it did not come with a gunner on there, but it does come with stowage, so that's kind of neat. You got some packs there, some rolled up tarp or something, and some helmets that you can decorate your vehicle with. So it's always nice when you have stowage. But again, downside, no gunner, but you do have a driver. So I do have a Rubicon crew kit that I believe has a gunner that I can use for the M3, so M3A1. So, all right, I'm gonna dig some more fun stuff out of here. In fact, let me dig everything out, and then we will go through each of the sprues separately. All right, so here are the U.S. Marine sprues. You get 4 identical sprues, and then a kind of like a weapons upgrade sprue that's here. So if you've seen the U.S. Marine Infantry box unboxing that I did, these are basically the same components with 2 less, or 1 less sprue, because I believe you can build 30 out of that. I'll have to check that, but I think you build 30 infantry, U.S. Marines out of the infantry box. Here you can only make 24. But what's nice about this, and I'm just going to move this aside. First off, you have identical sprues. So you get 6 torsos, pretty much. I think there should be a prone guy. Yeah, right there. So you get 6 torsos and legs. A number of different weapon options, including shotguns, rifles, submachine guns, carbines, all that stuff, as well as like packs and just a variety of different arms and head options. So we'll just kind of scroll through this. This is not going to be any different than the U.S. Marine Corps infantry box that I unboxed a little while ago. So, all right. So the only other thing that's different, or like the only other sprue that's different out of the Marine set, is the upgrade sprue for weapons. So you got a number of rifles here, shotguns. You also get some Tommy guns, a BAR right there, a sniper rifle, so you can make a sniper. And the most important part would be building that machine gun, or the bazooka team. So that's what that is right there. All right. Let's take a look at the infantry sprue once more. Again, there are 4 of these, so that'll kit out 24 U.S. Marines for your army, for your U.S. forces. All right, we'll take a look at the Japanese now. All right, for the Japanese infantry side, you do get 4 sprues. So they're all identical. I'm going to just bring one up here. You have a number of different options here. You have 6 torsos as well, so you make 24 of the Japanese infantry altogether. You have a number of different options here, including a hand mortar, rifles, machine guns, stuff like that. I'm not as familiar with the Japanese kit as I am the U.S. Marine kit. But you can also make those suicide anti-tank guys that have the mine or something at the end of this. that I mean, the survivability is you basically die once you hit a tank with one of these, if you can even get close to a tank. But in any case, you do have sheathed swords. There's an unsheathed sword right there, and holding the sheath itself. Yep. So you get 4 of those. That makes 24 Japanese infantry. All right, the last of the Japanese sprues, also in a baggie, so that's great. You don't get any of these components damaged with it not being in a baggie. This is your Chiha, if I can get it out here. So you get 2 sprues. Here's the first sprue that has the turret components, your tank commander, the bottom of the hull, and a bunch of other components here, including the turret ring and all the little small components. So this is not going to be much different than the Chiha unboxing I did not too long ago. And then the second sprue that has the main body, as well as the tracks and the wheels. Not a very complicated kit to put together. Alright, next up you have your pin markers. Go ahead and assemble them. Unfortunately, they still haven't made it so that you can clearly see the pin numbers on here. There are ways to get this marked with paint, but for the most part, we just use a single pin marker to denote a pin, even though you should be turning it once you have this assembled here. So it's still a bummer, but again, this is an old sprue. It's nothing new. They probably haven't manufactured a new one that would have white numbering. So do with it as you will. You can continue to use these singly, individually, or just, yeah. Alright, so you have your templates and your markers, your tokens. The book should have a guide on what all of this stands for. We actually haven't used any of these. We've used the template once. Alright. And then lastly, and this is interesting, is you have a full sprue of the oval bases for your prone guys. I've never actually seen it in a sprue. Usually these are individual and packed into baggies. That's kind of neat. I don't know if it helps with the packaging, but alright. The ubiquitous smoke and fire markers with the MDF bases. I think some folks have actually unboxed this, and this MDF base was replaced with a plastic 25mm base. I like the MDF ones, to be honest. So, always nice to have these, and you got them all over the place. Alright, so next up is the M3A1 half-track card. Point totals for per level, used in mid to late war. Looks like the Americans and the French can use this half-track. Now on the other side, special rules, as well as the machine gun stats. Alright, so next up we have the Type 97, the Type 97 Chiha medium tank, used throughout all phases of the war, Japanese only, point costs and experience level. And then obviously the special rules and the stats for the weapons. Lastly, the Type 97 Kai Shinhoto Chiha. So this is just a different model of the tank, used in the mid to late war, experience level and point costs, Japanese again. And then the special rules. So I'm not quite sure what's different. Oh, this one just has a bigger... Okay, so this one has the medium anti-tank gun and a medium machine gun, which it looks like it's rear mounted right there. And then the regular Chiha has the light howitzer and then a medium machine gun, which is also rear facing. So depending on what you need, I think in a general game it might be better just to build the anti-tank, the medium anti-tank gun version, the Shinhoto. Howitzer is good, but if you look at the stats, the range is not as high. And the pen for the Chiha is only high explosive, whereas this would be pen 5 with high explosive 1 for the template. And this has a high explosive 2-inch template. So this might be good against infantry. This would be better as anti-tank, obviously. So depending on what you want to build, choose wisely for your needs. All right. So we're almost to the bottom of the box here. So the Japanese have some flags. These smaller ones, devotional banners, are attached to rifles and backpacks. And then you have 3 different types of Japanese flag. This is the war flag of the Japanese Army. You have your national flag, and you also have the Naval Ensign of Japan flag. So that's kind of cool. This is paper, or kind of like a matte paper. All right. Then you get your decal sheet for the M3A1. And then the decal sheet for the Chiha. All right. We are at the bottom of the box now. So, the last things that you have in the box are the build guides. This is the M3A1 half track. As you can see, it's not a very complicated model to put together. It looks like you can build 2 different versions, one with the vision slit up on the windshield and one with it down. And obviously, stowage, all that fun stuff. There's your 50 cal, and then you get 3 30 cals. It's bristling with machine guns. All right. So next up, Japanese infantry, just the build guide. Nothing on the other side. Just gives you all what each component is identified as. And then lastly, the Chiha full color build guide. So this will allow you to build the Chiha or the Shinhoto Chiha. And that really depends on which turret I assume that you will be using. And then a quick paint guide. I'm assuming anything that's labeled Army Painter is Army Painter, anything that's numbered is Vallejo. So, strangely enough, I don't see a Marine Infantry sprue guide. I'm just looking through the stuff here. It looks like they neglected to include that. I don't know if that's the case for all Island Assault starter boxes, because like I said earlier, some folks have unboxed this and gotten the plastic round bases for the fire and smoke markers, whereas I got the MDF. So maybe it's just that the guide for the infantry, the U.S. Marine Corps infantry, was not included. So I'm going to pack everything back up, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this particular starter set. And there it is, Warlord Games Bolt Action Island Assault 2-player starter for Pacific Campaign. A great way to get into the Pacific War. For Bolt Action, you get Japanese forces and Marine forces. And what's nice about this in comparison to Band of Brothers is that it looks like the forces that are included in this box are of equal value and strength. So I think it's going to be a bit more balanced in terms of gameplay. Obviously, James and I will be doing a play from the box once we build everything up here. But just from the look of it, all the forces are equal, even the vehicle, down to the vehicle. So you get your M3A1 half track, you get your Chiha or Shinhoto Chiha, and I think they're evenly balanced. That'll make it much more fun for 2 players who are just getting to Bolt Action to enjoy and learn the game. So I'm going to turn this around. This is all the fun stuff that you get with Island Assault. A lot of the components are similar to what you would have gotten in Band of Brothers, but obviously this box is a lot bigger. terrain-wise, you get those the pillbox and the spider holes, which are very fluffy in terms of this campaign. What was neat about Banner Brothers is you got the ruined farmhouse, so that you had a larger terrain piece, kind of like a centerpiece for your battle. But I think that this will do well, especially if you start adding other terrain that you can get very cheaply, like palm trees and ferns and stuff like that. So, out of the box, I think this is a great set. Forces are equal. You get everything that you need. I love the fact that you get most of it infantry bucks. So I think each infantry box came with the ability to make 30 infantry each, and really all that was missing was one sprue from each of them. The thing that I didn't like was that there was no build guide for the Marines, so if you've never built the Marines before, at least this particular starter didn't have the guide, and that would make it a little bit difficult to kind of form or build your miniatures. I don't know if that was just an oversight in the packing. That's kind of a bummer. The only other thing that kind of bummed me out is that the A5 size rulebook was a little damaged. I don't know if it's because of the way it's packed, where it can just kind of, let me just remove the top here again, kind of just slide around. You can see the lip of the cover is kind of bent back a little bit. But other than that, a very solid starter, and definitely a way to get into bolt action where you're not just playing the Germans, which is a big deal because most of the forces that I have are Germans. So now we have Japanese and we have the Marines. So that's cool. An excellent starter. Very finely balanced. Gonna have a lot of fun putting this stuff together and doing a Pacific campaign. So, very fun fact. James and I actually went and got the Mariana and Palau Islands campaign and an infantry box. Each of the Japanese and the Marines, which you obviously saw in our unboxing. I also got an LVT A1, and he got another Chiha. So we were already preparing to do a Pacific campaign, and then Warlord announces Island Assault and all the new Marine and Japanese metal blisters and boxes that are coming out. So, yeah, that was kind of a bummer because we were already starting, but, you know, we can just build up our forces from here. There, we have a solid start with the stuff that we already bought, and now we have an even more solid start with this Island Assault 2-player starter. So look for the Mariana and Palau Islands campaign soon as we've finished building this. And yeah, that's it. If you like this video, go ahead and click like. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. Hit the notification bell icon so you can get notified of all new unboxings from Warlord Games Bolt Action and any other games that we play, as well as the hobby vlogs and all that fun stuff. Click the link in the description below for our Discord server. That's the best way that I can get to know you guys, you know, on a more personal level. So yeah, I look forward to speaking to you guys if you join the server. That's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more unboxing videos from Wargaming Noob Historical.